Oh, that's better. Now you can probably hear me. Hi people! Welcome back! This is my second video! Can you believe it? I followed through and made a second one. Sorry, my dogs are in here, so I'm spinning around petting them. Okay, so today's video, this week's video, I decided to explain makeup lingo, translate all the stuff you've heard beauty gurus say, or maybe makeup obsessed freaks like me say all the time. After my last video went live, my partner Alex watched it and he said that he didn't know what I was talking about a lot of the time. And he hears me talk about makeup a lot, so if you didn't know what I was talking about, I guess that means I have some explaining to do. So I wanted to start with eyeshadow related lingo, and I probably won't get to everything. I think I'll just do like eyeshadow lingo today, because there's a lot when it comes to eyeshadow, which is why I think it's so intimidating for a lot of people. A lot of people I know, at least, just avoid it entirely or don't even try it. So I figure if you have more of the lingo, don't judge my nails. I took off my press-ons and they look terrible now. I just thought if you had more of the lingo, you knew kind of more what the words were, it might make some of it more approachable and easier to understand. Oh, also, I'll show you. I'm wearing my Glitter Fallout merch. I got it for my birthday from Alex. And I think it is the sweetest Halloween shirt ever. So fun. Love it. So let's jump in. So I was thinking with eyeshadow, the first thing you need to understand is about palettes. So a palette, first of all, if you don't know what a palette is, no judgment. Here's an example. It's just a collection of makeup. It can be just eyeshadow. It could be eyeshadow and face products. It could be whatever. Blushes, doesn't matter. It could be any number of makeup things in like a flat cardboard, or some of them are plastic. There's a plastic one, or this one's metal even. There's some metal ones. Just random palettes that were in my drawer nearby. Some are small, some are gigantic, some are like so gigantic it's ridiculous. So when it comes to palettes, this is a palette I used today, so I'll start with this one. I use this little, nope, wrong side. I use this little pink shade on my lid today. Anyway, so this palette, if you look inside, these are called pans, so it's a pan of eyeshadow. This one has 4, as you can see, so people typically call it a quad. It's eyeshadow quad. So quad, 4, you know. There are other terms for like specific numbers of pans. I'll show you a single pan of eyeshadow. I have mine all depotted into a like magnetic palette. Depotted just means removed from the packaging. So these are all single pans of eyeshadow. So by that I just literally mean it's just one pan. Pretty self-explanatory. There's also something called a duo of eyeshadow, which would just be like 2 pans. 2 pans of eyeshadow. I have duos and other things, like I have duo blushes. I have 2 different colors in them. But I don't have any eyeshadow duos. With single pans, like I said, you can put them in a magnetic palette, which is literally just like this. It's just this whole background here is all a magnet. And because the pans are metal, they stick to it. Some people will call them Z palettes. That's a brand. It's not really popular anymore because they kind of got into some shit, but you might hear that. So yeah, you can create your own little organization of eyeshadow in magnetic palettes. Another way to describe an eyeshadow palette is to, without it being like a quad or a duo, is to talk about how many pans are in it. This one people might call a 9-pan eyeshadow palette because there's 9 pans in it. This one, someone might call a 12-pan. Or just a palette, I mean. But if you ever hear someone say that, it's just a 12-pan palette, a 9-pan palette, that's what they're talking about. Now into specific eyeshadows. So eyeshadows have different finishes. So what that means, if you've heard anyone say that before, is just how it appears on the eye. Is it gonna be matte, like with no shimmer or anything through it, just a completely matte shadow? I'll do a swatch of a matte shadow just to show kind of what I'm talking about in case you're not familiar. And this might be basic stuff that you already know, or it might be informational. I know there's at least someone out there who might not know these things. So these two are like matte shadows. As you can see, there's no shimmer in them, no glitter, nothing. Just matte. They're often used to like create dimension. Sometimes people do all matte looks. I'm not really a fan of all matte looks, but you can. Personal preference. I just happen to be a bit of a shimmer and foiled shadow addict, so I'll show you some shimmer and foil shadows next. So a shimmer shade, just like it sounds, it's shimmery. It has some pigments in it that make it reflective. So I will show you what I mean by that. Swatch them on the back of my hand again. So when the light hits these, you get a little bit of shine. Those are what I would call shimmer shadows. They're beautiful. I use them a lot on my lid, and I also use them, a lighter shade of them, in my inner corners here, just to add a little brightness, or even under my eyebrow. The other thing I mentioned was foil shadows. So I don't totally know the difference between a shimmer and a foil. In my opinion, one is just more impactful than the other one. The foil is more impactful. A lot of the shadows that I know are foiled are the Makeup Geek shades. They make ones that they specifically label as foiled shadows. So I'll swatch a couple of those so you can see maybe a little bit of a difference in the impact of these ones. They're a little more like thick kind of feeling. I think that's what makes their impact even more, I don't know, impressive. You can see these have like a lot of shine to them. And then some people will use the term foiled shadows to talk about how they apply the shadow. So if they like wet the brush or something, they may say they're foiling it. So if you ever hear that, they're just trying to make a shimmer shade more impactful or last longer, things like that. Another popular type of shadow, which I personally am not a fan of, is a matte with glitter in it. Makeup companies try to tell us that it helps to blend the shadows easier. I don't buy that. I think it makes it, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's cheaper to make. I don't understand why it's in there. I think it's the ugliest thing. I don't like it, but I'll use them sometimes if they're in a palette and I'm just trying to get a quick look. A company that uses a lot of matte shades with glitter thrown in them is ColourPop. So I'll show you in this palette, the one I used in my first video to do my eyes. Well, you didn't see it, but this is the one I used for my first video. This shade, you can kind of see it with the lights, and this shade, they all are matte shades with a little bit of glitter just thrown in. So they're not a shimmer shade because they're not that like smooth, fully reflective type of shade, but they do have a little bit of glitter in them. So I'll kind of show you these. See, they give a little bit more reflect, but it's not super noticeable necessarily. Oops, a little focus on the eyes. And a lot of companies say that if you don't like the glitter in the shadow, which I don't, to just like tap off your brush after you put it on. But there's just glitter everywhere. I don't understand the purpose of those shadows. Again, I think it's just a way to make shadows seem better quality that are a little cheaper. But some people like them, and if you like adding a little bit of glitter that way to your look without having to use the full shimmer or go too crazy, I think those are a fair option. It's just not my personal preference. The last type of shadow I wanted to mention is a satin shadow. So a satin's kind of like a matte, but with a little extra. It's a little smoother, a little butterier, and has a little bit of like a sheeny glow to it without having chunks of glitter or actual like shimmer particles in it. Okay, so I found one in my collection that's a little bit more of what I would describe as a satin. I don't have a ton of satin shadows. I don't think they're the most common thing in palettes. They tend to be in less expensive palettes. I used to have a palette from Essence that had a couple of, Essence is like a drugstore brand that had a couple of satin shades in it, but I feel like I don't have that many anymore. So this is the one that I found. Yeah, you can kind of tell with the light. There's just a little bit something more. It's not a completely matte shadow. It's almost like there's like moisture in it or something. Just makes it a little bit less flat. I don't personally use satins and matte shades differently. I use them for the same purpose. But, you know, it's a personal preference thing. Oh my gosh, glitters. I completely forgot to talk about glitters. Okay, the last finish for eyeshadows that I want to talk about are glitters. So this palette has a couple of glitters in the this bluish one and this kind of bronzy green shade. Swatch them. So a glitter is exactly what it sounds like. It's glitter in a pan. It's beautifully reflective, but a lot of glitters that are in palettes are not eye safe, which means the chunkiness of the glitter, if it gets into your eye, can actually scratch your eye. When they're pressed glitters like this, where they're kind of like flaky and kind of like craft glittery, they're not eye safe because they can scratch your actual eye, which is why I do not use them. Some people swear by them. I'm terrified of things getting in my eye, so no thank you. Okay, so those are the types of eyeshadows that I could think of. I might be missing something, and if there is a word that you've heard that relates to eyeshadows, comment it below and I can add it to. Sorry, my dog's chewing a toy on the floor next to me. I can add it to another video. Or if there are words related to like foundation or face products or powders or liquids, whatever, anything else you have a question about, leave it down below in a comment and I will add it to another video like this. So once you know about the types of palettes, the types of eyeshadows, the next thing to understand is spots for eyeshadow, for lack of a better term. The places where you put them. Good. Sorry. Is the places where you put them. And I'll zoom in on my eyes so you can see what specifically I'm talking about. Oh, this is gonna be hard to stay in frame. That is so close. You can see I'm breaking out all along my jaw. Fun! Okay. So I really should have done my nails for this. It's so gross. Ugh. Okay, so there's 6 different kind of areas or words I think people typically use to describe where they're putting eyeshadow. The first one I think you should know is your lid. It's the part of your eye that opens and closes, where I have all this shimmer shadow today, and that's pretty self-explanatory. I think most people know where their eyelid is. The next one is your crease. So that's the part where your eye bends. Bends? Creases when it opens. The part that creases is the crease. So it's this part right here where I typically put a little bit more darkness. And then there's the transition area. Some people will say they're using a transition shade or they're putting it in a transition area. It means different things to different people, but it's basically between your crease area and your like brow bone area. So it's like right in the middle here. People usually use a more skin tone shade or a lighter version of the shade they're using. It's a really important area to learn about if you want to try and do blending, some more blended looks. And then we have brow bone. So a lot of people will add a shimmer or a lighter color to their brow bone. I love using shimmers. Some people don't. But it just adds a little bit of lift to that area and makes it look kind of sweet. I don't know. Makes it look a little more completed. So it looks like you really, I don't know if you can even see my brow bone highlight right now. I did it a couple hours ago. So if my makeup looks a little wonky, judge me all you want. I'm putting myself on the internet. I asked for it. And then when you're talking about your lid, there are like 2 areas that I would generally hear people talking about: your outer corner and your inner corner, inner part of your lid. So your outer corner, people are typically talking about putting some depth depending on your preference, or bright colors, it's your call. But that's like this outer half of your lid. Your inner corner, when I say inner corner, I mean literally right here. Okay, sorry if I moved or if I'm not in the same spot I was. My camera just shut off with no warning. So I was talking about inner corner. It's where I put the most brightness usually in a look. Because I have smaller eyes, I like to add a lot of brightness here, making it look more open and awake. That's my personal preference again. And that's all of this. All of this is just based on my years and years. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out because I'm not talking about my eyes anymore. Okay. All of this is just based on my years and years of playing with makeup and my personal preference and my knowledge base. Some of it may not be, I don't know, word for word accurate, but it's my understanding of it, and I think my understanding allows me to watch most videos on YouTube and understand what they're talking about, so I think it's fair. Hopefully it helped a little. I'm thinking in the future of doing one of these kind of makeup lingo videos about brushes specifically, and maybe one about foundation and base products. Let me know if you're interested in that. Hopefully you like this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun trying to come up with all the words to use in it. So my dog, sorry. So thank you to everyone that helped me. Yeah, that's all I got for you today. Again, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you are enjoying watching me, and let me know if you have any ideas for videos down below, because I have a book full of ideas, but if there's something people would like to see, I'm more than happy to record it. Yeah, have an awesome day. Bye.